guys, and how is everyone doing today? Welcome, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Joe. You know, I wanted to share a story with you, if you all don't mind. When I was living in New Jersey, I one day was going to the doctor to get a yearly checkup. That day I was so happy and walking and all of that and talking and breathing. Go to get my yearly checkup. Then all of a sudden, the numbers was high on my blood pressure. And it was so extremely high. It was at a heart attack and a stroke level. And you guys know that heart attack is one of the number one leading death besides the COVID. Okay. But anyway, honey, it seemed like after that, my whole world that day just came tumbling down. Yes. And it seems that day is when my anxiety, I can feel the anxiety coming upon me. And it seemed like that my heart was just beeping so fast. Hearing that news is when the day that I began being depressed, feeling anxiety, having fear attack, anxiety attack. And when I received that news, I went home. Now, my doctor is in New York, and I live in New Jersey. So it takes about an hour and in about an hour and 45 minutes from Newark to New York. Traveling on the train, the PATH train, everything. And I'm thinking to myself, am I going to have a stroke? Am I going to die? You know, and I was, all kinds of negative thought came in my mind, like, how long have I have how long have my pressure been so high? You know. But anyway, when I got that news, I went to work. Not only was my pressure was high, but the heart rate was high too. But anyway, I went on to work the next day. Something just told me, let me just check your pressure. No, I didn't check the pressure. Yeah, I did check. Did I check the pressure? I think I did check my pressure. It was okay a little bit. It was high, but it wasn't extremely high. But what puzzled me was the heart rate was like too high. So anyway, I took it to my manager because I work in a hospital. Took it to my manager. They took my pressure and checked my pulse rate. Yes, it was high. Went to the emergency room. From that day, I've been home ever since. Yes, been home ever since. And in a way, it seemed like that was the time when my whole world just started tumbling down, you guys. Then after that, every day after that, I started taking my blood pressure. And it seemed like every time I take the pressure, the pressure would still be high, the pulse rate would still be high, and my anxiety would still just go even more and more, and I was stressed out. Not only that, I couldn't even sleep because now I'm worrying about the pressure. And it had really took a hold of me. I started calling my moms, my siblings, and stuff like that, and I'm, you know, crying on the phone and uh, scared to death, and keeping them up and stuff like that, and waking them up all during the night, just worrying about little old me. And to be honest with you, I felt like all my life, I have always, I feel like, been a very strong woman, independent at that. Didn't really ask anyone for anything. I always worked and everything, and always held up my own. But honey, when that fear come on you, all that badass disappear. Okay? And after the diagnosis of my pressure being high, it kept me so stressed out and depressed where I could not sleep at night. I, tried to get sleep and finding out that I just couldn't sleep, and it was just really, really bringing my anxiety because now I feel like, well, would I ever sleep? So now I feel like I have sleep sonia. But anyway, you guys, I was always worrying and thinking on death, dying, heart attack, stroke, am I going to make it next year, or am I going to see another day? Was always worrying, fear always was in my mind. And I think that the fear it led to the fear led me to having anxiety, put me in depression and everything. So I decided to call my sisters. And let me tell you something, it was always on the phone, helping me, supporting me. When you have a family that has love, it's the greatest gift that God can ever give you. Family, or those of you who do not have family, but even a friend that can support you during these tough times. And it was one of the greatest gifts that God could ever give me. So I called my sisters, cried on the phone. I'm stressed out and I can't sleep. Can you come and get me? And they did. Two siblings came all the way from Virginia. I packed my stuff and I went back to Virginia. Had to take a leave of absence from a job, just to try to get myself together and everything. But anyway, get down to Virginia, and I'm still taking my blood pressure. It's still being high and everything. Still having these anxieties, still can't sleep at night. And so one day I said, you have to fight. You have to fight. You can't allow the fear to kill you. You can't worry about these things. You gotta realize that God had got you through all these times and days. Why wouldn't He, you know, still be there for you? You know. And then all of a sudden, a light bulb just occurred in my head to say that, Yolanda, you can do this, and God is with you. And start speaking the word of God every day to myself. you know, His word of faith. Girl, Look, I'm sweating trying to tell y'all this story. The word of faith. I had to speak those words. And let me tell you something. It, between the word of God, prayer, fasting, you know what I'm saying? Family support and things else that I had to do to get my uh, anxiety in control, and as the days went by, I started feeling better and better. It was a slow recovery, and there was nights that sometimes I couldn't sleep, and then sometimes I could. I started listening to tapes and uh, different topics on healing and depression and, anything that could just build up my spirit, my faith level. And honey, it really did. It had built up my faith level to the point that it started building me up, and had to apply that word of God to cast down some spirits, you know what I'm saying? And that was the day that after then, as the day went by, things got better and better. My anxiety, I didn't have anxiety as much. I still had it, but not as much. Pressure was still high every time I went to the doctor, but I was still applying the word of God, and I wanted to share that testimony because there may be some of you out there right now that is going through anxiety. Some of you may be depressed, and with everything that we hearing on the news, some of you probably in the hospital right now, and you're looking for comfort, a word that can just give you peace. But let me tell you something. There's no greater word than applying the word of God. I tell you, you got to be a believer in these days of time. Okay? So when I thought that I had faith, God had to show me what was in my heart, what He had to cleanse. And He had to use my anxiety to give me that faith to bring it up to another level.